Welcome, everybody. It is 4 p.m. Well, I'm going to be recording this live meeting, and I see that we don't have anybody in the live meeting, but that's okay. I'm going to be recording this, and I'm going to be posting this so that you can watch it when it's most convenient for you. So I want to go over the class structure, okay, before I do my lecture. So this is the class that we are going to be working on, okay? So we are going to be working on this is a BDA 5090. It is data-driven analytics and decision making. So this class is actually, I'm going to teach you machine learning, okay? En Spanish, we calling aprendizaje automático, pero algunas personas le dicen aprendizaje de máquina. Pero en inglés se dice machine learning. Entonces vamos a pasar 8 semanas aprendiendo o we're going to be actually learning machine learning for 8 weeks, okay? So let's look at the structure of this course. Okay, so let's look at it. So you're going to find the structure of this course in the module section. So if you can see here, there's a module. So click on module, okay? So click on it. It's going to take you to the structure of the course. So the course is actually divided into 8 modules. As you can see, this would be module number 1. This would be module number 2. If you scroll down, you're going to find module number 3, module number 4, module number 5, module number 6, module number 7, and module number 8. So it's divided into modules. For week number 1, so we are on week number 1, we're going to be working on module number 1. So let me show you. So we got the course schedule here. So let's click on the course schedule. So this class is 8 weeks. It started this past Monday. Each week begins on Mondays, okay? And we're going to be working or completing module number 1 through module number 8, okay? And we're going to be working on 1 module per week, okay? On Wednesday at 4 p.m., we have a live meeting, just like the one we are having right now. I'm recording this meeting. If you cannot make it, I have it recorded for you, okay? So what is due for each module? Well, there are discussion questions. So the initial post to the discussion question is due every Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Now, you need to reply to your classmate. Those replies are due every Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Each module has an assignment assigned to it. Each assignment is due by Sunday, 11:59 p.m. So let's look at the course schedule. So this week starts on January 5th and ends January 11th. For this week, we're going to be working on module number 1, okay? So we have a live session, which we are having now on Wednesday, January 7th. The your initial reply to the discussion questions is due tomorrow, which is Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Your replies to your classmate and the assignment is due this coming Sunday, January 11 at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so and then we do the same thing for next week. Okay, so every week we're going to be covering 1 module. For next week, we're going to be covering module number 2, and the week after we're going to be covering module number 3. And then module number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? So we're gonna be covering 1 module per week, okay? So that's the structure of the class. So now let's go back. So here is module number 1. So this week we're gonna be covering module number 1, okay? And module number 1, we got the overview. Click on overview. It's gonna tell you about what's expected for you this week, okay? It's going to cover what we're going to be learning this week, the learning objective for this week. And here's the checklist. Click on the checklist. For example, you need to complete the initial discussion post by Thursday, which is tomorrow. Reply to your classmate by Sunday, and complete the assignment by this coming Sunday, okay? And here are tips for success. Click on them. Okay. So that's the overview of their resources. So in this class, you don't need to buy a book, okay? You don't need to buy. I don't believe in students buying books. I think, especially when it comes to artificial intelligence, it is best to actually provide the students with the latest material that is available. And I actually prefer to give the students online material. So the way you can actually click on them and read the material. So here are the resources. Do me a big favor. Read all of these resources before answering the discussion questions, okay? For instance, I noticed that some people didn't know exactly what were structured and unstructured data set. As you can see, there is an actual reading material here that explains what is structured and what is unstructured data set. And if you click on it, it's going to take you to a website that explains to you what is unstructured and structured data set, okay? So my point I'm trying to make is that before you do any of the discussion questions, before you do any homework, please read the material because the material is going to get you ready to complete the discussion. It's going to get you ready to complete the homework, okay? So those are the resources. And then for this week, we get a post introduction. So click on it. And here, I seem like some of you already started posting. So it's pretty good. I want to say thank you very much for that. So post your introduction by tomorrow, day 4th, okay, which is Thursday tomorrow, okay? And that's a discussion, introduction. And there are 2 discussion forums. So make sure you reply to the discussion question by tomorrow, Thursday. It gives you the instruction on what to answer, okay? Then, seems like some of you already been working on this. It's pretty good. Thank you for doing that. Some of you have been working, so thank you very much, okay? This is discussion number 2, and it gives you the instruction right here, what to do, okay? And it seems like some of you have already been working on this, a lot of you. So I want to say thank you for that. Thank you very much. And this is due tomorrow as well. And of course, there's the assignment. So click on the assignment. So here's the assignment for this week. So pretty much it is like an essay assignment, okay? So you're going to be writing, answering a few questions, okay? Yeah, so there are 2, 3, 4 parts to this essay. So this is an essay. So there are 4 parts to this essay. And you need to submit write your essay as a Word document, or you can actually submit as a PDF file, okay? It should be between 2 and 4 pages. So submit it. Let me see it, how it will look for you. So this is the way it looks for me as a faculty member, but let's see how it was going to look for you. So for you, it's going to look like this. Hold on. It's going to look like this. So you're going to scroll down. You're going to submit the assignment. Hold on, give me a second. Trying to see where you have it here, where you're given the opportunity to submit the assignment. Okay, so I'm going to look into this. I don't see, you should be able to see it at a comment. Okay, let me look into this. I should be able to see like a submit option where you submit the assignment. I'm going to look into that, okay? Then, so that's the assignment for this week. Okay. And of course, so that's the structure for this week. And then the next week is the same structure, okay? It's going to follow the same structure for every single week. You're going to have an overview, you're going to have resources, you're going to have discussion question, right? And you're going to have the assignment. So that's the structure of the class. So now let's go over the lecture for this class, okay? So I'm going to go over the lecture. I'm gonna go over the lecture. Okay, so this is the lecture, okay? So I'm gonna go over very important concepts that you need to know about machine learning, okay? So there are two very important concepts you need to learn, okay, that you need to understand. Features and dependent variables. So the features, I don't know if you take in statistics. If you take in statistics, okay, features, they're referred to or they're commonly known as independent variables, okay? So that's another name for, that's how they call them in statistics. But in machine learning, we do not call them independent variables. We call them features. Some people call them predictor variables, okay? Some people might call them like inputs, okay? But most of the time, most people call them features, okay? But they're known as independent variable in statistics. They're known as predictor variables. They're known as inputs. And there's dependent variable. In statistics, we call it dependent variable. In machine learning, we might also call them as a target variable, okay? So you might go by different names, but the features are used to predict, okay? So for example, this example shows three features, X1, X2, and X3. So you got three features, and these features are used to predict the dependent variable or predict the predictor variable, right? The target variable, okay? So these features are going to be used to predict the dependent variable, okay? And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by this in the next slide. But these are known as features, and this is known as a dependent variable, okay? So here's a data set, okay? So we got a data set here. In this data set, we have variables, okay? So we got area, bedrooms, bathrooms, stories, parking, and price. These are variables, right? That's what they are, variables. However, some of these so we are as machine learning engineers, we're gonna select some of these variables as features, okay? And those features are gonna be used to predict the dependent variable. So in this case, what we're gonna do, give me a second. So in this specific data set, we are going to be predicting price, okay? So price is the dependent variable, right? It's a dependent variable, okay? It's the dependent variable, okay? It's a dependent, I don't know how, I'm using my mouse for this. So here, the price is the dependent variable, okay? Price will be the dependent variable. Now, what features are we going to be using to predict the price? What features are we going to use to predict the price of a house? In this case, it is actually is a house. What features? Well, we're going to be using the area, okay? We're going to be using the number of bedrooms, okay? We're going to be using the number of bathrooms. We're going to be using the stories. We're going to use the number of parking. So all of these features are going to be used to predict the price of the house, okay? That's what we're going to be doing, okay? So all of these features are considered, some people call them, in statistics, like I said, independent variables. Some people call them predictive variables, but the most precise terminology is features. And they're used to predict the price in this specific case. And the price in this specific case is a dependent variable, okay? So it is important to understand this because otherwise you're gonna be confused because the whole point of machine learning which is actually a subset of artificial intelligence, is to make predictions, okay? Because you're going to be making predictions. In this case, we're predicting the price of a house, or you might predicting the price of a car. It is used to make predictions, okay? That's what machine learning is used for. Make prediction in business, make prediction in medical field, pretty much in any field, we can make predictions. So it is very important to understand that these features, okay, are used to predict the dependent variable, okay? So once you understand that, then you pretty much understand what machine learning is all about. It's about making predictions. So what else? So there are different types of variable. Okay, so it is very important for you to understand that different types of variables, because this is going to help you decide what kind of machine learning algorithm to use, okay? Because in the future, we're going to be using different kinds of machine learning algorithm. We're going to be learning the most popular machine learning algorithm. And the only way for you to understand which machine learning algorithm to use is going to be dependent on whether whether or not you understand the types of variables. So there are pretty much basically in this case, three types of variables, okay? Let's look at the first one, continuous variable, okay? Continuous. Continuous means that it has an infinite possible values. That's what it means, okay? So, for example, you can say weight has an infinite number of values. For example, somebody can weigh 100 pounds, right? Somebody can weigh 100 pounds and 0.1, right? Somebody can weigh 100 pounds and 0.2, right? Somebody can weigh 100 pounds, right? 0.3, or somebody can weigh 100 pounds, 0.31. Somebody can weigh 100 pounds, okay? 0.32. And as you can see, you understand the point, right? Weight can take an infinite number of values. And because weight can take an infinite number of values, okay? Infinite. Then that means that weight is a continuous variable. So any variable that can take an infinite number of values, okay? Infinite. Then that variable is considered continuous, okay? So if you can divide a variable in an infinite number of values, then you know that it is continuous, okay? So you must understand that. That's very critical, very important, okay? Now, there are categorical variables. Just like it says, it has categories, okay? The categories can be nominal or ordinal, okay? Ordinal has in ordinal, it has different values, okay? So let me give you an example of an ordinal categorical variable. Like, for example, agree, disagree, disagree. Strongly disagree, strongly disagree. Okay. So as you can see that agree is less, has a lower value, okay, than disagree. And disagree has a lower value than strongly disagree. Okay, so that's considered ordinal. But there's sometimes that there are different categories that really don't have any real order to them. There are no orders. They're not really, there's no order specific to them. For example, you have different species, right? Species, like for example, you have dogs, okay? You have cats, okay? You have, you can say horses, okay? You have horses. So as you can see, you have different categories, but a dog is not greater than a cat. And a cat is not greater than a horse. So that's not ordinal. That's not ordinal. That's actually nominal. Okay, that's a nominal. Okay. If there's a specific order to them, then it would be ordinal. If there is no specific order, then they're nominal. But these are different categories, right? You have different categories. So that's the reason why they consider categorical. And again, it is very important for you to understand, okay, the difference between continuous and categorical. And the final is binary. The binary is really categorical, but the only difference between binary and categorical is that binary only has two categories. Okay, two categories. Okay, it only has two categories. Okay, only has two. It can be yes or no. It can be true or false. It can be male or female. Okay, it can be anything that has two categories. Okay. So if it only has two categories and no more than two, then we consider it to be a binary variable, okay? So we got continuous variable, categorical variable, and binary variable. And it's very important for you to understand the difference between all three, because if you don't, then you're gonna be having a hard time understanding which machine learning algorithm to use in the future, okay? Now, the difference between structured and unstructured data set. So let me explain the difference, okay? So pretty much structured data set, it is like Excel. It is Excel spreadsheet, okay? So I'm sure all of you are pretty familiar with Excel spreadsheet, right? So if you use Microsoft Excel, you can see that's an example of structured data set. It has rows, okay? It has columns. So it has columns, right? 1, 2 columns. It has rows, right? It has 1, 2 rows, right? So if the data set is structured in rows, columns and rows, then you can say that the data set, it is structured, okay? If the data set, it is structured in columns and rows like a spreadsheet, then you can say that that data set is structured. Okay, that's what it means. Okay. Now, if unstructured data set, this would be like, for example, images, videos, okay, videos. Then we have, what else do we have? Videos, images. Then we have text, right? Text. So pretty much anything that is not structured in columns and rows will be considered unstructured data set, okay? So if you ever do computer vision, we use videos and images in computer vision. And if you use like a NLP or a large language model, we use text, right? So that's the difference between a structured data set and unstructured data set, okay? And about 80% of that data is actually considered unstructured. And about 20% of the data is considered structured data set, okay? And it's very important for you to understand this difference because in the future, because in machine learning, we mostly use structured data set. However, in neural network, okay, in the future, when you take a class in neural network, we mostly use unstructured data set. Okay. Now, let's move on. So here's the example. Here's a structured data set, okay? 20% of it is structured. It is a display in columns and rows, okay? So that's structured data. That's an unstructured data set. And an unstructured data set, we have emails, we got images, right? Audio, video, files, so we got different here, okay? So that's the difference between structured and an unstructured data set. Now, I want to go over a function, a mathematical functions, okay? It is very important for you to understand what is a mathematical function, okay? Because to be honest, when we do a machine learning model, a machine learning model is really a function. So a machine learning model, okay? A machine learning model is really a function, okay? That's what it is, okay? It's a function. That's what a machine learning model is. It's really a function. So here's a function, okay? And let me explain to you what a function is. I think that most of us were taught what a function is back in college algebra, but this actually for me to a quick review of what a function is, okay? So a function has inputs, right? And these inputs are entered into a set of rules, okay? So they go into a set of rules. And then these inputs, after they go through a set of rules, they convert it into outputs, okay? So you got inputs. Inputs are represented as X, and we got an output, this represented as Y. If you got more than one input, it would be X1, X2, Xn, right? So, and the output is just one in this case. And as you can see here, okay, let me see, let me erase this. As you can see here, we have an input represented as X. We got an output represented as Y. Remember what I said about the dataset features? Remember about this? Let's go back to here. So in this case, this would be inputs, right? Inputs. This would be inputs. These features are inputs, right? They're inputs. And this is the output, which is the dependent variable. These are input number 1, input number 2, input number 3, input number 4, input number 5. So we're going to be using all these inputs to create a function, okay? To create a function that will convert all of these inputs, okay? That will convert all of these inputs, okay, into an output, which is the dependent variable, okay? That's what we're going to be doing. That's what machine learning does. We actually create a function, and the function is what we call a model, okay? A machine learning model. So as you can see, so let's look at this data set. So we have a data set here, okay? And it's a very simple data set. In this data set, we only have one input or one feature, okay? Only one feature to make it easy, right? And we have one output, okay? So this is a very basic data set, right? So we don't know the function. So we don't know the function. Okay? We don't know the function that converts this X into Y. We don't know it, right? We don't know what it is, but we know there is a function that converts this -2 into -3. There is a function out there that converts a -1 into -1. There is a function that converts a 0 into a 1. There is a function that converts this 1 into 3. And there's a function that converts this 2 into 5. And that's what we, as machine learning engineer, it is our job to find that function, okay? So that's what we do in machine learning. We're saying, okay, so we know there's a function, okay? We know there's a function. We know it that somehow converts this input or this feature into this output dependent variable, but we don't know the function. So that's our job as machine learning engineers to find that function. And that function is the machine learning model, okay? That's the model, okay? So that's our job, okay? In this specific case, okay, so in this specific data set, the function of this data set is this one, okay? Is this one. The function of this data set is 2x plus 1. So what does that mean? It means that if we input, okay, if we take this feature, -2, and plug it into this x, replace it, and then we solve, then we're going to get -3. And if we continue that, if we actually continue, if we actually take this -1 and we input it here, okay, we replace this x with -1 and we solve for this, we are going to get -1, okay? And the same for the rest, right? If you look at, if we actually take this 0, okay, this 0, and we input it here, okay, and then we solve for this, then it's going to give me 1, okay? And we continue doing that for the rest, okay? So our job in machine learning is to find the function, okay? The function. We don't know the function, but we can find it. And once we find the function, we can make prediction, okay? So what does that mean, okay? So here's what it means. Once we find this function, then we can get a new x, okay? So a new x, whatever the new x, it can be instead of 3. So in this data set, 3 is not part of the data set. 3 is a new feature, it's a new input. But here's the magic things. We know that these 3, if we input it here, we can know the unknown y. We can actually find out. So let's plug it in. Let's plug in 3 here. So 2 times 3 will equal 6. 6 plus 1 equals 7. So we know that the output is 7, okay? So as you can see, we didn't know the output, right? But we actually enter a new input, a new feature. And since we knew the function, we can enter the new input into the function. The function is going to give us a new output, the unknown output. So we're making prediction. We actually are predicting the future. We're predicting using the function, okay? So we can use the function to predict unknown outputs, okay? Whatever output here that we don't know, we can predict them using the function. Okay, so that's how we use function and machine learning. So there are pretty much 3 types of machine learning algorithm, okay? And we're gonna be covering all of these machine learning algorithm, actually. We're gonna be covering all of them. The first one is supervised learning. So what is supervised learning? Okay, so let me explain this in a better way. I got this slide here, but let me explain it by actually going back here to this data set. In supervised learning, you tell the computer, you see, you got all these variables, right? You got how many variables? Okay, 3, 6 variables. You got 6 variables. So you got 6 variables. You, in supervised learning, you tell the computer what are the features and what is the dependent variable, okay? So in this, so in supervised learning, you're gonna tell the computer, okay, so area is a feature, bedroom is a feature, bathroom is a feature, storage is a feature, parking is a feature, and price is a dependent variable. Since you are telling the computer what are the features and what's the dependent variable, then we call it supervised learning, okay? That's what we call it, supervised learning, okay? Now, there are examples where there are other machine learning algorithms where you do not tell the computer what are the features and what's the dependent variable. That's called unsupervised learning. So in unsupervised learning, you do not tell the computer, hey, that's a feature, 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 that's a dependent variable. No, you do not tell it. Instead, you let the computer decide what is the relationship between all the variables. The computer will decide, okay, so I know the relationship with all these variables, and it will decide on its own what are the relationship between all the variables. And that's what we call it unsupervised learning, okay? That's what we call it unsupervised, okay? The next one is reinforcement learning, okay? So this one is reinforcement learning. Just like it says if you're taking a psychology class, you know there's reinforcement learning, right? So what is reinforcement learning? Let's go. That's when you reward a computer when it does the right thing, and you punish the computer when it does the wrong thing. Okay, so it's punishment, negative reinforcement, positive reinforcement, right? Just like human beings, computers can you can actually punish or reward a computer, okay, based on whether or not you wanted to do specific things, and that's called reinforcement learning. Okay. Now, here are the different types of machine learning algorithm that we're going to be covering in this class. We're not going to cover all of them, but we're going to cover the main ones, the ones that are used the most often. But as you can see, you got, again, you got supervised learning, you got unsupervised learning, you got reinforcement learning, okay? And in this class, we're going to be covering the major ones, the bigger ones. So you got classification, okay? You got regression, okay? That's types of supervised learning, and there is unsupervised learning. And you got clustering, okay? And then you got reinforcement learning. You got Q learning, R learning, TD learning. So those are different types of machine learning algorithm. And I'm not going to go into detail right now into each one of them because when we actually cover them individually in the future weeks, I'm going to be explaining them more details, okay? But these are the ones that we're not going to cover all of them. It will be too many to cover. But we're going to cover the main ones, okay? Like, for example, logistic regression, definitely we're going to cover that, linear regression. So we're going to cover the main ones. And as you can see, they have different categories. They fall in different categories. Some of them are supervised learning. Some of them are unsupervised learning. Some of them are reinforcement learning, okay? Now, to end this lesson, we are going to be using Google Colab, okay? So we're going to be using Google Colab to do some programming, okay? And don't stress out because I actually gave you the answer, okay? For the programming problems that you're going to be using in the future, I literally give you the problems. And all you need to do is just copy what I give you, okay? And you're going to be using Google Colab to copy what I give you, okay? I don't want you to get stressed out. I don't want you to get really nervous that I'm going to be asking you to do some programming because all you're going to be doing actually is really duplicating what I gave you. I'm going to give you codes, okay, in the future. I'm going to give you a code for this machine learning algorithm. And all you need to do in the future is just duplicate the code, okay? And that the reason for that is because I'm giving you practice. I'm giving you practice. But in the future, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you that in the future, when actually artificial intelligence, large language model, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, they actually can do the machine learning algorithm for you. So you're probably wondering if AI can do the machine learning algorithm for me. So why are you asking me to type the code? Well, the reason I'm asking you is because I want you to know what the computer does. But in the future, when you actually are working on AI, you don't need to do it. The computer, the AI will do it for you, okay? But you need to know what the AI is actually doing because you need to be able to explain it to your client. Because in the future, when you talk to your client or you open up a business in AI, you need to be able to explain to your client what the AI is doing. And if you cannot explain it, then your client is going to ask you, so why do I need you when the AI can do it for me? Okay, they're going to ask you that. So you need to know what the AI is doing. So that's the reason why I'm going to be asking you to duplicate the code, even though AI can actually do the code for you. But anyways, we are going to be using Google Colab, okay? So I want you to do the following for me. I want you to, only if you haven't done this already, create a Google account. You're gonna need a Google account, okay? And once you create a Google account, do the following. Go to google.com, search for Google Colab, okay? Right there, see? Google Colab. Type Google Colab. And you're gonna be taken to this webpage. Once you're taken to this web page, click on the following. Click on Welcome to Colab. Click on it. And then I want you to click on New Notebook. Do you see here, New Notebook? Click on New Notebook. And here, you're going to be entering the code. So I'm going to give you a code, okay? You don't need to develop a new code. I'm going to give you the code. So I want you to duplicate or copy by hand the code that I give you. Now, if you make a mistake, guess what? Google Gemini, see Gemini, can actually help you fix the code. If you get an error in your code, Google Gemini will actually help you fix the error. And that's the great thing about Google Colab is that you have Google Gemini here. Google Gemini is one of the most sophisticated AI that actually humans have ever created. So if you need help, if you get stuck, guess what? Who's here to help you? Google Gemini, okay? It's gonna help you if you get any problems. Once you type the code, you click here, run it, okay? You can run it. You can upload the data set by going here, because I'm gonna give you a data set. You're gonna use the data set. So in order to upload the data set, all you need to do is just click here. There's an upload button here. Upload the data set, type the code, and then just duplicate that code I gave you. And if you have any errors, guess what? Google Gemini is here to help you. So do not get stressed out because guess what? I already gave you the answer. All you need to do is just duplicate it, copy it, and duplicate it, what I give you as a way to practice, okay, to understand what the AI does. Because in the future, the AI will do it for you. But you need to know what the AI is doing for you, okay? That's the reason why I'm going to be asking you to duplicate the code. So do not get stressed out. And that's the end of the presentation. If you have any question or concern, please send me an email or send me a message via inbox, and I will be able to answer it to you right away. I wish you well. Everything's going to be fine. I'm here to help you. Have a wonderful day.